Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Hi, and welcome to Straight Talk About God video. I'm Jack. No peace of mind but God. You know, we're just like God. We're made in His image, right? And there are many ways that we can see what God is like by seeing what we're like. I know it's hard to hear that that God is just like us, but He is, right? I mean, He'd have to be in order for Him to tell us that we were made in His image. Okay, let's take a look at what we're like first. So what we're trying to do is see how we accomplish things, and then see if that can be applied to God, the way He does things. You know? Deep, huh? But pretty logical, you know. We're going to use an example, a physical example, an itch. An itch. Okay? You have an itch in the palm of your left hand. Left is a sinister side. Do whatever you want with that. And what do? Well, you take your right hand, the good power side, right hand, and go over and get one of your fingers or two of your fingers to scratch the itch, right? And the itch goes away. Okay. Well, that's what happens, you know, just what we see, okay, the things that we see. What really goes on there, though? What really goes on? Well, your hand is just energy, isn't it? You are just energy, right? Okay? I mean, everything is just energy, vibrating at different frequencies, you know, to make the energy look and feel solid. Okay? So the normal energy in your left hand has gotten out of tune, so to speak. Okay? The frequency in that spot in your palm has gotten out of sync. Okay? And you feel that frequency change as an itch. Okay? So you take your right hand, which is also just energy, and one or more of your fingers, energy fingers, and scratch or rub the out of tune spot, right? And the good energy around it. Okay? Well, this diffuses the change, you know, until it blends back into its proper palm frequency. Well, sure, haven't we all heard or even seen healers heal with their hands? There's energy involved in all of that, right? Okay? Okay? I mean, there's nothing new here, right? Right? The only thing new is the way we look at things, okay? I mean, how many times have you ever sat down and thought about how you are energy, and your hand is an energy, and it just does, you know, we don't usually do that kind of stuff. But this all happens because you know who you are. You know your body, right? You know about it. I mean, you know enough to get your right hand to go over and scratch that itch, right? But notice this. The time between the itch, when it makes itself known, and the thought you have of scratching it is almost impossible to measure scientifically. It's instantaneous, isn't it? Oh, I have an itch. Practically before, boom. I mean, the actual scratch comes much later, right? Okay. Well, God does things just like that. He does things just like that. We have to try and do is accept God's size. How big is God? You know, that energy that you call you is the same energy that I call me. It's the same kind of energy that we both call the earth, and the galaxies and the unseen dimensions and God himself. Right? I mean, it's all God, capital A-L-L. It's all God. All of creation is really God's body, so to speak. You know? Like we have a body, you know, all of us is our body. And well, when something goes sour on the earth, God gets an itch. See, the earth is just a teeny little pinpoint, you know, in the totality of God, capital T, you know, in all of God. He feels that sourness the way we feel an itch, right? Something is in need of remedy. So, he knows that sourness the way we know an itch because it's part of his, quote, body, right? The way an itch is part of our bodies. Okay? And he does just exactly what we did with our itch. He sends some bit of his God energy. What would that be? Well, an angel, the Holy Spirit, down to earth to scratch those frequencies and get them back into better working order. Well, the earth has gone way sour, right? I mean, it looks like it's gone a bit too quickly for God. How can we know that? Well, we can't know for sure, but it sure looks that way. Hasn't he told us what the end times are going to look like? You know, what the last days? I mean, we've been seeing extensive buildup over the last several decades. I mean, most folks are talking about it as being like the biblical end times. You know, that's all over every place now. And God told us what was coming, but he didn't let us in on his timetable. So we've been guessing for a long time, right? Okay. See, we know that the end is coming, and we know the signs and the prophetic remarks about the end are apparent nowadays. Huh? Well, we also know that there is an elite who have generationally run the world for millennia. But they are also part of God's plan for the end times. Huh? He's using them to fulfill what he wrote us in the Bible. Now, I know that seems obvious, but I'm glad because we have to lay all of that on top of what comes next. Okay? What's happening? The world is getting Trumpified. Trumpified, right. Have you noticed how many countries are going populist? Huh? I mean, after Brexit, it seems like Trump has been the leader of a worldwide movement, you know, to take back the people's sovereignty. Every other week there's another headline about some other country gonna exit the EU. Huh? This is a worldwide phenomenon. Not only that, what about North Korea? Huh? For months it's been World War III with North Korea. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, North Korea reaches out in peace to South Korea and they join in the Olympics. Who could have ever predicted something like that? It's stunning. Huh? It's God. Look, we were hurtling, I mean hurtling toward destruction in the 2016 election. But no matter how hard the evil side tried to steal the election, a huge, huge conspiracy to steal the election, you know, and to discredit the president after he won, Trump still endures. doesn't he? And he's doing great damage to the global elite. Well, if Trump was the only one going populist, you might say, well, that's normal. You know, the pendulum swings back and forth. Well, I mean, to have so many other countries follow suit, it sounds to me like some worldwide conspiracy. You know, all the top presidents and leaders of all these countries got together in secret in the back room, in the cigar-filled room, and decided to, you know, that's the only explanation on a physical level. Otherwise, it's God. It has to be God, right? If God is, it's just God. Wait a minute. Yeah, we're on God's timeline, right? It's just God scratching the globalist itch, is what it is, right? So he can get back on his timeline. How can you say that? I mean, aren't the elite part of the plan? Well, sure they are. But I think they're getting ahead of God's schedule. If they weren't getting ahead of God's schedule, why stop them? You know? I mean, if they're already being used to get to the goal, why did God give the world this breather? Why not just let Clinton get in the presidency and wipe the country out now the way she planned on it? I don't know what you thought of, but what came to my mind right away was God's objective for humanity and for believers in particular. Okay? You see, I have to assume that those whom God has on his call-up list, those he wants to call, haven't been called yet. Need more time. Okay? And secondly, believers are singled out because they need that special attention. Special attention. You see, there's going to have to be some way, that God will reveal the heritage to those people who are descended from the Bible tribes. There's about 1 billion of them, right? Right? Now, unlike the Torah-keeping, practicing Jews, the other 11 tribes, Benjamin and the 10 tribes of the house of Israel, the northern nation that got wiped out, those people are almost to a man, not the Jews, but these guys, almost to a man, they're ignorant of the fact that they can trace their lines all the way back to the Bible Israel tribes. That word has gone out for 200 years. 200 years. It's not new information. You see, but 200 years ago they didn't have radio or a TV, and especially the internet. The internet. Look, you'd have to quit your job and take the rest of your life to look at and read, watch, listen to all of the stuff on the internet about the lost tribes. Just about the lost tribes. There's so much of it out there. Okay? Information is instantaneous nowadays. Well, I believe that that's a big contributor to the awakening of believers and to bringing unbelievers into the fold also. Just the information of the lost tribes, right? Because it proves God's reality and his faithfulness, and it also proves that the Bible is true. And that's going to bring us back to peace of mind in a minute. In a minute. You see, this understanding and internalizing the fact of God's reality will probably result in one's waking to the fact of the corruption in the church, which started in earnest in this country in the 1930s. And they'll see how they're not being taught what they need, right? And will step out of the Christian frame. That'll be their first awakening. But once out of the Christian frame, one will also see how the global elite have manipulated the world. It just comes around almost automatically. And they naturally will rebel, do whatever they feel comfortable, talk to friends, march on Washington, start up a political news blog, put their deep learning and research on the internet in a video, whatever. Okay. Isn't this exactly what's happening today worldwide with the internet? God has dampened down the globalist efforts and given believers and those not yet called a little more time. He's scratching the globalist itch. Right? All right? But that doesn't speak very directly to peace of mind. Not directly. So let's pick that apart a bit, okay? Basically, isn't peace of mind a feeling or a place where we feel no worries? We're not worried, we're not on edge, we're comfortable where we are in that situation or whatever. Mind is free of intruding thoughts and so forth. Well, how about the means that we sometimes use to gain peace of mind? Well, surely up in the top 5 would be control, money, safety, right? Okay. Well, in a situation where we feel in control of what's going on, we're not worried about control, are we? No. Now, we may not feel that peace of mind of control in other situations in our own lives, but in that particular situation we feel okay, we're not worried about it. Okay? Easy. Okay, safety. I like extreme examples. Okay? So here's an extreme example of safety. You have a home that's impregnable. Impregnable. It's magic, and not even a nuclear bomb can touch it, okay? Just to drive the point home, okay? You have peace of mind for safety? Sure. Do you have total peace of mind? Probably not, because outside the house, there's an angry mob. And they're yelling and throwing rocks and starting fires and all. They can't get in, you feel safe. But do you have peace of mind? Well, just to drive the point home a little farther, you and your descendants live in that home for 400 years. Safe for 400 years, but outside, the descendants of the angry mob are still there, and they're still doing what their grandparents did. Even your descendants 400 years from now don't have total peace of mind. They're safe. And money, I don't think we have to talk about money. Money has its lacks, the same as anybody else, anything else that we can name for peace of mind. Okay? So, peace of mind that covers all the means that we can think of can only come from God. Only from God. No peace of mind but God. Right. Let's take a look at that. See, only God has that kind of peace of mind. Total peace of mind. See, but we have to use our knowledge about God that we talked about, to understand about God, to understand our peace of mind, how that's going to work. Okay? Now, I'm sure that even though you never thought about much about God's peace of mind, he does have peace of mind, right? He's God, right? So he's got the most perfect kind of peace of mind, not just one or two things. See? This isn't really easy to imagine. We have to get back to the totality of God, how big he is, what he is. God is everything, right? Okay. He controls everything, right? He's perfectly impregnable, right? And he has no worries about money. We know that, right? You see, he can't worry about anything that's outside of himself. All creation is himself. Okay? There's nothing outside of him. There's lots of stuff outside of us that cause us grief, harm, you know. But not so with God. All he ever does is now and then he scratches an itch. And even then he has somebody else do it. Right? Well, that's the kind of peace of mind that comes with absolute knowledge that God is real and takes care of those whom he considers his children. So, in order that they can do that, he gives them a way to get the kind of peace of mind that he has. He does that. Yeah, what a great God, you know? See, it doesn't matter what a believer faces. Even death is just fine. Right? You remember the stories about the Christians in the circus that were put into the circus in Rome? I remember one account where the women that had infants would thrust them out and offer them to the lion so that they have a quick death. And they wouldn't have some miserable time after the mother got chewed up, you know, and maybe they dragged the baby around the circus or something, you know. Well, how could she do that? She knew that that baby's spirit would be to go with God, just as she knew it would be the same for her. What is that? See? The thing that can keep a believer going is the continual reinforcement of the knowledge of God's reality. Sure. If he left you a little note every morning, good morning, have a good day, I'll be taking care of you. You'd feel pretty good every day, right? Instead of the way we feel now, you get up and you're, you know. The more you prove God, okay. Look, if you can't prove God in a court of law, did he say a court of law? Yeah, you can do that, you know. But if you can't do that, I suggest that you haven't studied enough. You don't really know about God's reality, right? You know, it can be proved, even though you may have seen it differently in a movie, right? But that doesn't wrap it up, okay? God's peace of mind is available to the believers and will give them the same kind of peace of mind, but how do they get that? What we need to do is find out how a believer gets that kind of peace of mind. Bottom line is that we get God's peace of mind by having some of God inside us. Because it's not our peace of mind. Our peace of mind doesn't make it, except for a few little things, not for everything. See? You might not be worried about money, but you sure might be worried about dying. Okay? See, it has to be from him being inside us because it's his peace of mind, right? And when one has God's peace of mind inside them, they're not even afraid of death, right? Not with the indwelling of God's Spirit. So all we need to do is get God's Spirit in us. Oh, how do we do that? Faith. Faith. It's very simple. One of the hardest things you can do, but it's simple, right? Faith, that puts an E on the word faith. See, an E. Make it a verb. See, once you know that both Hebrew and Greek, okay, that all the times you see the word faith, trust, or believe in either testament, it's being translated from a verb. They're a verb. There's action happening there. See? Not any old action. You don't decide on the action. See, that's the rub. You have to do something that God says, not what you say. It's not any old action. It's an action that's based on something God has said, and that means that we are depending on God to help with whatever the task is, you know. And the task is going to either be something God has brought us, or something we know He has said in the Bible about how He wants His children to conduct their lives and what they're supposed to accomplish. Believers are supposed to be accomplishing something. Now, don't think that God came around and called all these believers so that they could go to church on Sunday. That's not what God wants from them, okay? No, He wants a lot more participation than that. You know, like tithing, 25%. What? 25%? That's why it isn't simple. I mean, it's simple, but it's not hard. It's hard to do, right? Where's my place here? Huh? Depending on God? Right. Oh, yeah, right. Okay. See, so the factor that makes it hard, whatever we're doing, is because it contains some kind of risk. See? Some kind of risk. This factor will always look like risk. We'll be presented with something that contains an unknowable element. Well, how will I ever, you know, what if? Okay? In an element that could bring us down. You know, it could be argued that a negative circumstance, risk. See? That's why we have to ask God for help. See? Get us around what looks like an obstacle. Faithing is what does that. See? Faithing gets Him in on it. The whole Bible teaches that we're saved by faith. Faithing, yeah. All the way back to Abraham, it was the same thing. Now, Paul uses the word pisteuo in Greek, which is the same root word as faith, and the same root word as a primary verb, pytho. Believe and faith are verbs. So when Paul says that Abraham believed God, it says he acted on his belief in God. God told him to do something. He said, well, God is real. I'll do it. See? And it says he was counted for him for righteousness. Abraham was saved by faith, you know? And the whole New Testament is all about the indwelling of the Spirit when you act in trust. From Jesus to Paul, John, Old Testament says, Joel has it in there, Isaiah, Jeremiah, pour out my Spirit, you know, in the end days. Okay? So faithing puts us in a saved condition. Why? Because God has promised us that when a believer acts in trust of Him, faiths, that He'll put a bit of His Spirit inside your body. And once that Spirit is inside your body, you have the same kind of peace of mind that God has, because it's God's Spirit. Peace of mind. Living as though God really is real, amounts to trusting Him with our actions and governing our lives so that we participate in what God is accomplishing on the earth. And again, He's not trying to accomplish everybody going to church. He's got a whole different thing there. You see some of my other videos, you'll see that. Okay? You want peace of mind? Faith. Once you've got the Spirit inside you, you'll soon realize nothing can worry you, even death. Because like the woman in the circus, the minute you die, absent with the body, present with the Lord. I'll take some of that. Huh? How about you? Right? Thanks a lot for watching. God bless.